Hi everybody, what's up? I'm Pabs, a racing VTuber and an artist, and today we're going to be working on some more pixel art. So, last week I made a small sprite of myself, which I think turned out fairly adorable. I love that little guy, I like how that piece turned out. So I'm going to try to do another piece in the exact same style. So... yeah, there's not much of a preamble to this. It's just more of the same, basically. Let's get going, shall we? Whee! Alright. Let me kind of like crouch down here. Lacrosse down here. That's interesting. I don't know what it is about lacrosse that I don't know why it just keeps coming up. You know, as somebody who doesn't live in a country or has never lived in any country where lacrosse is like a popular sport, I'm not sure why it keeps coming up for me so often. It really is kind of a mystery. Oh hey, apparently A sprite updated between last time and this time. Yeah, apparently yeah, so yeah, apparently this is version 1.2.40. Last time it was 2.39. Yeah, I'm excited to see. Actually, I got no damn clue what they might have changed. It's a pretty good program. A sprite is a tight program, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what they would have changed. But yeah, this time around we're making art of my original character, Roland. So, a couple of things going into this. I'm not sure what kind... So, to kind of recap from last time, the main kind of, shall we say, constraints we're operating under for this thing is, one, we're going to be using pixel art, obviously. That's one thing. But the other thing is that we're going to try to replicate the Game Boy Color Pokemon style. So the Game Boy Color Pokemon style had 4 palettes per trainer. I actually have a picture of it here. Hang on. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but... come on. Yes, there we go. Oop, no, I did not mean to move the A sprite around. But yeah, you can see here that I've got a little bit of a bead on some of the Pokemon Game Boy Color era sprites. So again, kind of a consistent element between these guys is that they have 4 colors per palette, and yeah, that's basically it. Really, that they have 4 colors per palette. That's really all the limitations that there are for them. Yeah, they use these in different ways. So, for example, yeah, white and black seem to be used almost universally for shading. So you can see here that usually white is used for like where areas that have light would hit. You know, so like for example, this guy here on the bottom row, or yeah, it's a pretty obvious kind of thing, but it's something that's I feel very clever. So let's kind of get into it. So I think the first thing to do would be to figure out the pose. Now, Pokemon trainer sprites are very good with the poses, I think. But I have one that I kind of want to use, which is... I don't remember if you guys remember this. So back in March, I did bits and bobs of a challenge called March. That sounds exactly the same through the closed captions and everything, but imagine if there's like a little T there between the C and the H, so it's like art and March combined. Yeah, I thought it was a fun little wordplay. Anyway, I did that back in the day, you know, which is what is it now? 6 months ago. Jesus, 6 months ago? Anyway, I did that 6 months ago, and I made a piece for my character Roland that I actually really like still to this day. I don't know what it is about it, but I really like it. Let me see if I can't put it up on screen, actually. Hang on. Wrong one. Let's try that again, shall we? Okay, that was day 31. I need date 26. Yeah, there we go. Oh my god, that's really huge. Okay, hang on. There we go. But yeah, I really like this pose, so I kind of want to replicate it a little bit, but maybe like from the front this time, if that makes sense. I'm just gonna keep that right there so y'all can keep tabs on it. Okay. So yeah. I think before I start drawing the collar or anything, I need to like start blocking out the shape. So head around here. Fun fact, I draw all my A-Sprite stuff on mouse. I just find it's more comfortable than using my pen tablet. I find that I have a little bit of a finer control with it. So that's why, if you're wondering why I do that, why I do such a thing. I know a lot of people use drawing tablets for pixel art, for A-Sprite even, but I'm not one of those people. I learned how to do this with mouse, and I will not, well, no, I might change it at some point. But right now I have no interest in doing so. Yeah. So yeah, you can see that he's almost like puffing out his chest a little bit here. Yeah, anatomy can take a little bit of a backseat on this one. One of the nice things about pixel art is the amount of abstraction that you get afforded. So because there's slightly less details to everything, you need to think harder about like what you're trying to communicate with each shape. But the trade-off for that is that you actually can get away with showing less. Yeah. I think that's... I don't remember if that's the reason why a lot of indie games had like pixel art. I think it's also, you know, partly the nostalgia factor. Yeah. It's really weird. I don't know how to put it. It feels... I'm not saying it's bad. I'm absolutely not saying it's bad. I love me some good pixel art. But I do find it's like weird that pixel art has evolved from being this kind of nostalgia-bait thing into being like a proper kind of art style unto itself. You know, like, it's no longer just like, oh yeah, this is the style that every indie game uses because it's supposed to like pander to dudes who played Super Mario 64 when it just came out. No shade to anybody who did do that, by the way. I hear that it's a fantastic game. Good luck getting your favorite character into Smash, though. That was mean. That was unnecessary. That was unnecessary roughage. 10-yard penalty. In any case, it's kind of evolved from being that, you know, the kind of universal indie game art style to kind of having its own identity where... I mean, it's still a lot of indie games using it, but stuff like, you know, triangle strategy, why is that one the first one I thought about? I don't know if that game actually was good. Fuck, I don't even know if it came out. Yeah, remember when Nintendo announced friggin' triangle strategy, or triangle advantage, or whatever they call it? And, like, it was supposed to be like the next Octopath Traveler. I never played Octopath Traveler either. I don't own a Switch, is the thing. I don't own a Switch. I think it is on PC, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why, but like super long RPGs are not one of my fortes. Are like not one of my fortes in terms of like my ability to complete and play them. I don't know why, but they just aren't. I want to play them. I want to experience their story. I want to be able to like them. But I don't. You know, if a game has RPG elements, that's also cool. That's cool and dandy. But you know, if I don't actively go out of my way to look for like RPGs. Yeah, I used to really like RPGs. Like, I don't know when it happened exactly. I think I was just like under the impression that I was supposed to like RPGs, and that's why I like them so much. But then I just like realized, hey, I don't actually like grinding for hours and hours, or like doing boring side quest stuff unless it personally interests me. I mean, I did play Disco Elysium. You know, I like RPGs, but I don't know what it is about like normal RPGs. Just like don't appeal to me as much. Maybe I'm losing my love for like classical fantasy. I hope not. That'd be like one of the colors in my world being removed. Like, I like urban fantasy a lot more these days. I mean, you know, being a guy who basically writes urban fantasy, as like, you know, most of the stuff I make characters for and write for are urban fantasy settings. You know, like, yes, there are dragons, but there's also, you know, metro stations. I don't think that necessarily qualifies as urban fantasy. Anyway, I just like doing that because I like the idea of mixing those two together. I don't know what kind of did that for me. I don't know where my love for urban fantasy began. I know I definitely... Like, alright, judge me if you will for this. I don't think it's something to be ashamed of. I don't know what the consensus is on the, like, 2010 Shadowrun game. If you don't know, Shadowrun is a tabletop RPG. I don't know who produces it. I forgot who produces it. But in 2010, they had a computer game made. It was a Kickstarter, one of those Kickstarter games, called Shadowrun Returns. And I think it did numbers back in the day. I know it had a lot of very popular DLC spin-off. Like, I remember, like, there was, like, a campaign set in Hong Kong or Berlin or both that was super, super popular. But, yeah, a long time ago, there was a Shadowrun RPG, a much better Cyberpunk RPG than Cyberpunk 2077, in my opinion. I've never played Cyberpunk 2077, but, like, given the amount of shit that went on in that game, the shit that went down in that game, I think that's not an unfair assessment. If anything, it's being too generous to Cyberpunk 2077. Anyway, I'm not here to be a hater. I'm here to tell you how much I love the game, the 2011. Was it a 2011? Hang on, let me check this. Shadowrun Returns. Uh, 2013. Right, okay, so Shadowrun Returns debuted in 2013. It feels weird to use the word debut anymore. It was released in 2013? Yeah, I think that's the right term. Again, I remember I tuned into Galgura's second anniversary stream because I wanted to see, you know, kind of like what she'd been up to. She seems like a nice young lady. If not with something like entertainingly weird about her, she seems like a nice girl. Anyway, I tuned into that, and she I forgot where I was going with this, actually. Sorry, shark brain infection. Anyway, okay, I actually did forget what I was saying. Oh, no, wait. Now I remember. Yeah, she basically said that she'd been basically oversaturated with the words like collab, debut, and everything, like that. Now she was, every time she heard it, her brain literally just turned off, and I feel like I've gotten more or less the same way. What 10 hours on VTuber Twitter will do to a motherfucker, etc. Yeah. Okay. I think this is like a pretty good kind of basis for the whole sprite. Okay, so now we can decide on the color palette. Now we're gonna need... Okay, so black and white are non-negotiable as... what do you call? Get me a new layer. So yeah, black and white are pretty much non-negotiable as far as the palette goes, because you can see in the browse... Well, no, not in the browser source. I think I closed that window. Yeah, I closed that window. Anyway, you can see in the Pokemon sprites that they only used black... That the only kind of consistent color between all the sprites was black and white. But there is a small question of like what the... Like one of the colors that will probably have to be his skin tone. So let's just add that there. But I do wonder like what the third color will be, because there are, you know, I've redesigned this guy a couple of times. Right now his design doesn't look like this anymore. It has a kind of more like tan jacket rather than a black and yellow jacket. So I am wondering what I should do for that. I think I'm gonna go with this design in particular. I think it just like goes very well. Yeah, because like, I mean, I could have the second kind of tan color here. We can mix and match it a little bit, I think. Well, no, not really mix and match it. We can just kind of like try and wing it a little bit. Okay. So we'll need another layer as well. Okay, so that's gonna be... I'm gonna need to lower the opacity of this layer. Why is it called N now? Let's call that layer 0, or sketch even. Yeah, one of the good things and bad things about, what do you call, Sprite is that its windows always show within the program. And I say that that's good because then if I mess around with like the hue settings and everything, you can actually see that. You can't do that in Clip Studio Paint. That you need to get like separate trackers on each window for that, which is very annoying. But you know, it's possible, but not feasible. If that makes sense. Conversely, with Sprite, you can just like do whatever. Like this preview window, it wouldn't be in Clip Studio Paint. You wouldn't be able to see that in Clip Studio Paint if I had something similar in there. However, this does come with a blatant downside that you guys can see all my files when I try to like save something, which is very annoying. You know, mainly for privacy reasons. I have nothing to hide, but like I don't like, you know, part of the whole mystique of being a VTuber is that you don't let people. You need to let people know as little about your, you know. Not to like break immersion too badly or anything, but like people can't know that I'm a real human man with a real human man job. They'll break the immersion of having a weird bag of talking rice talk smack at you through a computer screen at least 3 or 4 days a week. Like I know for a fact that I wouldn't have been able to start streaming if I had to show my face. I don't really talk about it too much. I'm not like... It's not that I think I don't look good, you know? I mean, some days I look pretty awful because that's just how life is sometimes. But, you know, most of the time I think I'm a handsome young man. It's not that issue, but mostly because I just like being able to separate my, you know, my live streaming from my personal life, you know? I have multiple types of private lives with this kind of like, you know, when you kind of split stuff up like this, you have multiple private lives. You have the private life that you keep away from people in your day-to-day life, you know, so outside of streaming, and then there's your private life that you keep away from people in your streaming. And while some people might find that to be fucking infuriating, I actually find it to be quite liberating in a way. Yeah, you know how like some people argue that the reason that people like Order so much is because you only need to follow certain rules in order to live a good life. You know, in that way, in that regard, it's much more simple. That's kind of my perspective, but on like limited purely to this kind of like live streaming thing. Like, I like living with constraints because it helps me understand how to act a little better. You know, if I gave myself too much freedom, you know, that would be... It's not that I don't give myself freedom, it's that I just know that if I didn't, like, give myself these constraints, I wouldn't know how to act, so to speak. So yeah, I like living like this. I like having that kind of clean separation between what is online and what is in real life. I should probably pull up the GB... I don't know how they did, like, eyes back in those days. I'll figure it out sooner or later, but that might be a problem. Okay, there we go. No, that doesn't work. I needed it to be at least like around here, so that way it doesn't look like I'm just cutting it off directly at the chin there. I'm also gonna need to add a little like wiggly thing here for like the what do you call it? These jackets are the ones that have like a little like wiggly thing here that you can like button up to the other side. I explained that perfectly. I say very defensively. Yeah. So yeah, just trying to figure out like how this will go. Because I don't want to show too little, but I don't want to show too much, if that makes sense. Okay, there we go. Now that looks weird. This pixel right there looks weird. No. Something else is missing now, is the thing. Okay, there we go. Perfect. No, okay, I can't. It's a little bit of an arms race between the little flap here and like the inside of the jacket. Maybe if I do it like this, okay, I think that makes it a little bit more obvious. Yeah, it's hard to know like when you need to show neck for these sorts of things. Or rather, how much neck to show. I think what I might be able to do, actually, hang on, is to kind of reduce the amount of empty space right here. So hang on. So if I move this like around here. There we go. I keep forgetting, like, if... Hang on, I need to bring up back the reference that I had. Not the one for my character, the one for the trainer sprites, because I need to remember how they did eyes. Yeah, okay, so it's just black pixels with, like, 2 little white spaces. Okay, cool. That's helpful. Okay. Ooh, I like that line. I do wonder how I should show that, like, he... Okay, so the jacket is gonna... Again, like, the main issue here is the jacket for me. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that still needs to go, but like I am wondering how I can change it. Maybe once we get to like the quote-unquote coloring phase, we can be a little less stingy with that, but for the moment we need to keep it on a tight lid. God, I need to be careful not to accidentally make the jacket so short that it looks like one of those, like... It looks like some kind of future Trunks looking jacket. I don't know. Consistently, I'm surprised like whether or not people have seen Dragon Ball, because me being from Latin America, I kind of assume that everybody has at least kind of like a passing knowledge of what each Dragon Ball character looks like. And that's not entirely inaccurate. I feel like if you've been like in a space where anime is popular, such as, for example, where you would be if you liked VTubers, I feel like you've been exposed to Dragon Ball in some way, shape, or form enough to know what each character looks like. But I'm always consistently surprised about like to what extent each person I've met has watched Dragon Ball. I know some people haven't watched it at all. I know some people have only watched like the abridged version. That's technically me. I have seen some episodes of Dragon Ball back when I was a baby, but like, yeah, I remember watching Dragon Ball as a prenatal memory. You know how like some spiders are born knowing how to weave like webs and everything? You know, almost like an instinct. That's what happened to me. That's me in Dragon Ball right there. I didn't choose the weeaboo life. The weeaboo life chose me. Etc. etc. Alright, here we go. Yeah. I've always considered myself a big fucking nerd, but I've never identified with the word weeaboo. I feel like that's reserved for a very specific and very annoying type of nerd. Okay, there we go. It's very difficult to show, like... Hang on, I gotta go look at something here. What if, like... Okay, hang on, what if, like... I almost made it, like, almost like a claw-looking thing. How about that? And then we can differentiate a little bit with the skin tone. No, this doesn't feel right is the thing. It's one thing if it'll look good later, but it's another thing if it doesn't feel right, like right off the bat. There is such a thing as trusting the process, don't get me wrong. But I don't feel like you can apply that to literally everything. Okay, what about like this? I feel like that might be better. Perfect. However, the thickness of this arm means that I have to compensate a little bit with this other arm. Oops. Yeah, because this arm looks kind of skinnier in comparison to the other one. Okay. There we go. Perfect. And then just kind of like grabbing the sword here. Well, I call it a sword. It's supposed to be like a scabbard. Yeah, Roland's whole thing is that he has his father's scabbard, but he doesn't actually have the sword. So he just kind of like goes around beating people with the scabbard whenever he needs to. Yeah, surprisingly effective though. Like the thing is, right? Even if you're like, oh nice, he's using the scabbard. That means that we're not gonna get hit with a sword. You're still getting hit by a very heavy piece of leather. Like that's not gonna feel good. Speaking of not feeling good, there's something wrong looking with these fingers. Oh hey! Harvey, Harvester Core Unit 86, my man. Welcome to the stream, everybody. I'm Pabs, the rising VTuber and an artist. Today we're doing a little bit of pixel art. Let me give you a shout out. How was your stream? You're playing that Ace Combat game, right? How did that go? Man, I've tried playing Flight Sims before, and every single time, without failure, I get my ass beat by the controls. It's a tough genre. It's a tough genre. Not only to like do properly, I hear, but also to like play. I imagine the main kind of clients of, you know, kind of like the main demographic is dudes who have seen Top Gun at least 8 times. It went well. Stream disconnected 3 times. Now, do you say it went well because that number of disconnections was like below your estimation, or are you... Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man. That sucks. It always sucks when like you want to stream like a cool game, but like you know, your stream just isn't having it. Ever so slightly salty about it. Yeah, no, that's well within your rights. Jeez, dude, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, especially since it cost me to lose all my viewership. Oh no! Oh, that's a real shame, bud. Well, listen, yeah, take a little break, take a shower, yeah, what can I do? Such is life. That's really the only kind of attitude you can have about it, because really, what can you do? Still though, that sucks shit, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, but yeah, kick back, get something to eat, grab some dinner. Nothing legal, let me tell you. Listen, you can always firebomb telecommunication companies. It is always morally correct. For legal purposes, this is a joke. For legal purposes, I am being very silly and joking. Haha, please, Mr. FBI, don't add new stuff to my file. Yeah, it turns out that when you are made from the literal sun in the sky, government agencies are really horny to keep tabs on you. It's super weird. They're like obsessed with me or something. God, that's such a funny image. Like some dude is like a wanted fugitive by like several government organizations, and he's like, "You're so obsessed with me. Oh my god." That's a very funny concept. Alright. Actually, no, let's lower that a little by a couple of pixels so that it doesn't look like he's just like grabbing directly on like the metal part. No, I think it actually looked better before. Yeah, like this. There we go. Okay, then... Alright, I'm gonna go take a shower or eat something. I'm very tired. Yeah, you've earned it, bud. Go take a rest. Yeah. As for everybody else who dropped in, thank you very much for staying here, and yeah, enjoy the stream. Oh yeah, speaking of stuff to eat, I've been reading about like the origin of nachos, right? Uh, um, very not my best segue, but definitely not the weirdest one I've ever done. I will say. Yeah, I've been reading about like the origin of nachos, and apparently their name is derived from the cook who first sold them. Who he was called like Ignacio Anaya. Ignacio Anaya. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. And apparently a short form of Ignacio is Nacho. So, you know, he started to call him Nacho Special, and eventually just kind of got shortened to Nacho. And then, you know, naturally some American dude saw these and thought like, man, this would make like a great snack for baseball. And then he spent like a year and a half trying to like figure out like how to make cheese, how to make like melted cheese without actually having fresh cheese. And then the nachos cheese sauce was born. And nobody's livers were ever the same. Seriously, I am convinced that like of all the food that is, you know, I wouldn't call myself a health nut. You know, I wouldn't call myself like a dude who's like overly conscientious about like health and eating well and everything. But I will say that I feel like nacho cheese sauce has like the most preservatives ever. I feel like you might as well start chewing on. That's like macro dosing on microplastics, if you catch my drift. That's like at that point you might as well just start chewing on like toddler toys, craft singles. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it like nacho cheese sauce definitely has some stiff competition in like craft singles in terms of like owner of the most, what do you call? What would you even call that? Like, innard wrecking, innard destroying qualities. But I don't think it has a beat. Craft singles aren't even called cheese; they're just craft singles. Yeah, there is like, you know, God, having like an official American organization, the AFDA, has specific definitions for like each type of like what you can call cheese, what you can call like bread, what you can call like meat. And it's always super funny when like something that advertises itself as one thing just does not meet any of those definitions. Like, strictly speaking, craft singles are not a... I haven't actually looked this up. They might qualify still as a cheese, but I don't believe they do. Anyway, it's always funny like when like a food that's just called something just does not qualify as that. So like nacho cheese, for example, you know, nacho cheese sauce is very obviously a sauce. It does not qualify as a cheese. Although apparently the very first kind of cheese was used in like the original nachos, like the ones made by Ignacio Anaya, was cheese from Wisconsin, which is interesting. God, something I miss a lot from my home country is queso fresco. You could get like this kind of like wet cheese that like queso fresco literally just means fresh cheese. So I think it's pretty obvious what it is. You know, it's just like cheese that's still wet. Yeah, I try to replicate it by buying like these like packets of mozzarella that still had like some whey water in them or something. I don't know what you would call that. I know that whey is like something you extract from cheese, but I'm not sure if it's the like watery part of it. I don't know. I'm not a food scientist. Hell, I'm not a scientist, period. I'm just vaguely kind of knowledgeable about many weird different things. Alright. The ankle's looking a little weird, but the kind of whole structure of this thing is looking a lot better. He looks like he twisted his ankle and now it's all swollen up and he's trying to be so brave about it underneath the boot, but it's very obviously like the size to a size that is kind of absurd. The thing is, with me, right? You can always tell if like I'm sick or if I'm feeling unwell because I will be so overdramatic about it. Yeah, like I am not very good at hiding my emotions is the thing. So if I am like upset or like, you know, or like exhausted or something, I will very easily let it show. I'm like the opposite of like, you know how they say that cats will like go and hide to kind of hide the fact that they're going through like a sickness or something? I'm like the opposite of that. My tummy hurts and everybody must know. I am going to through it, and if I have to make that everybody else's problem, then so be it. Okay, and then maybe like a line here to show that it's like crossing over his hip or the scabbard. Perfect. I think this is good. I don't know. Something about pixel art makes it very hard to tell like when things are like proportioned correctly. So like for example, right here I'm gonna like make this a straight line. But even then it still looks a little weird. Like I feel like I should shift everything to the left a little bit down here. Which is ironically enough how it was originally. But yeah, one of the funniest things that I read when I was looking at the history of like nachos in America is actually that like when he tried to, you know, they call them nacho chips because they were chips specifically designed to be eaten with nachos. The guy that wanted to kind of like introduce nachos to the US at a wider scale, like he had to specifically commission the chip, and he told the guy making the chip, and I quote, he wanted a chip with some backbone. Which obviously makes sense from given that like they have to be drenched in cheese and everything, but it's also objectively one of the funnier sentences ever said by a food distributor. Chips with some backbone. They need to sell computer chips like this. Chips with some backbone. Yeah, can I get my computer chip without any bone in it? Okay. I think we're ready to start coloring. I almost feel like I have to like do this 1 pixel taller. Yeah. It's a weird vibe, you know. Now that we are several months past what I consider to be the worst of the how did one certain live streamer put it? The pepperoni virus. You know, yeah, for lack of a better word. Now that we have like, I feel like we've passed the worst of that. I'm not gonna pretend that it's over because it definitely isn't. But I'm gonna say that like we're past the worst of it for sure. But one of the funnier things about that is the people who do act like it's over. Because today my coworker and I, we go to this one certain food place near where we work, which serves like these rice bowls, these sandwiches. They have a lot of variety, mostly salads, very good salads. Anyway, they serve a lot of variety dishes, and we like going there because it's tasty. And today we had a pretty impressive conversation where we noticed that like for a lot of the recent days, the kind of place was closed for a long time. Wait, I wanted to do like the tan jacket for this. Anyway, we noticed the place had been closed very, very often. And at this point we were like, hey, is it gonna like close down for good? Because that would be a bummer. And then, you know, today I got my lunch from like a different place, but my buddy was like, hey dude, good news. Yeah, they aren't closing down for good. And I was like, oh, that is good news. Why aren't they closed down though? Oh, one of their employees got the Rona. And I'm like, that's not funny. That's not like good news. Yeah. It's a very weird vibe, is all I'm saying. Yeah. Really don't know how to react when something like that happens. Like, yeah. It's a lot of complicated emotions about it, I think. I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah. Oh yeah, speaking of wacky stuff. So it turns out that very recently the I don't remember what it's called, but basically there is a like a United States place that regulates like pilots, pilot licenses and everything. And apparently they recently turned down a request to increase the number of... So basically, there was a proposition for this kind of this organization that decides who gets to be a pilot and who doesn't. There was a request to cut down the learning time from in half, basically. And thankfully it was rejected. Yeah, apparently there's like a shortage of pilots going on right now. So what they proposed was to cut the learning time down to kind of make sure that there were more pilots around. And they were like, no, we are not doing that. For what I feel should be obvious reasons. I feel like whoever proposed that in the first place should maybe be flogged and beaten a little bit, because like, who the... Like, okay, sure, we'll cut down the flight hours. You got on the first flight, though. Yeah, let's see how you feel being chauffeured around by a dude who's only like, I feel like that's a very slippery slope to going from, yeah, we have pilots who have maybe like less training time than pilots did before, to, yeah, we found this guy called Larry on Reddit. He says he's played over 500 hours of Microsoft Flight Simulator, so we think he can fly you to Virginia. Yeah, no problem. Barry can do it. Barry? Yeah, Barry would not be able to do it, is what I'm trying to say. You know, I have faith in Barry. We went to high school together, Barry and I, but that means I just know better than anyone. He's not fit to, like, pilot a chartered plane. Or if it's a charter plane. I don't know how you would say that. Is it pilot a chartered plane? Pilot a chartered plane, or charter a plane to pilot? I don't really know. Okay. Now, do we want this part to be solid? I think we do. I think we want it to be solid. Maybe we can use this as like a shading for the sword. Yeah, okay, hang on. I've got an idea. Alright, so want select this section here. Oh, no, not with the ring. We need the Bayer matrix. Maybe like this? How about the 8x8 Bayer matrix? How's that treating me? I quite like that, actually. Or... Yeah, I don't know about this one. Okay, there we go. Oh, that's okay. I think that's kind of an adorable little smile. I feel like that's pretty good. I don't know if I should keep shading with the black, or maybe I should start doing some highlights with the white. I think that might be a good kind of way to do it, because you know, one thing is working with a limited palette, but it feels like weird to kind of just keep using it. You know, it's something about it doesn't feel right. Like I feel like I'm cheating almost. Like for the sword, I feel like it's fine. Maybe if I maybe even like, hang on, what if I like, yeah, a little bit like this. There we go. Okay, and I feel like that almost very succinctly expresses that there's no, like, actual sword in there. It's just kind of empty in there. I mean... No, that's getting a little bit difficult to decipher. Having that extra little bit of clear space in there really helps, I think. Speaking of clear space, I should go get some more water soon. Okay, here's where I might be able to use the Bayer Matrix. Hang on. Yeah, there we go. I will say though, like, it feels like I'm losing track of his fingers a little bit. Maybe I need like a more solid black line here. Yeah, okay, I feel like that almost looks more like he's making a fist, which I feel like is pretty appropriate. You can still pretty much read that as 4 fingers, I think. I feel like that's fine. If anything, I think what's missing is almost like more meat over here. There we go. Is that making his face too round? I think that's fine. Perfect. Or maybe like even with 1 pixel wider in each direction. I feel like that's still readable. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think I'm going to add some shading to the boots here though. I'm gonna try to use the gradient here as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. Perfect. And maybe even like, would that make sense? I feel like that almost makes sense with the color, with the color gradient that I'm doing. I kind of like it. I'm not gonna lie. Even though it's a little bit confusing with the colors, I kind of like it. Alright, cool. I think we did a pretty good job with this. I think that's decent. Although we haven't shaded like the tan part of the jacket yet. No, I feel like, no, that's almost too much information with the pixels and everything. No, I don't know. Yeah, I think like consistently what's most difficult for me in terms of like just in general, I found that making highlights has always been very difficult for me. I think like that's one of the most consistent problems I've ever had, is that like I understand shadows really well, but I don't understand how like light is supposed to bounce off of stuff. I think I still have issues with that to this day. Now, naturally, I kick ass at art. That's not none of this is to say that I'm not good at art. However, I do find like that is one area that I struggle to conceptualize consistently. There we go. No, I think, wait, no, hang on, that wouldn't make any sense, because, like, the light would only kind of, like, be hitting the very tip-top part of the... of this. If that makes sense. Yeah, because, like, it would only be hitting, like, the very rim of the collar here. It'd be hitting more around, like, here. I can see it. Like, the thing is, right, the most frustrating thing about it is that I can see how it could work, but getting from point A to point B is always really difficult. And, like, you know, I want to get there. I want to get to point B, because I feel like point B is going to be very exciting visually. But, you know, there is, like, that one... There's, like, potholes and shit between point A and point B, so it's almost impossible to get there, you know, through peaceful means. Nah. I think just, like, the rim... Even with just, like, this part here, I think that's going to be pretty good. Yeah, I like pixel art. Again, you know, I do like making pixel art because it is a lot like making normal raster art, but just like much more simplified. Not even simplified. That's not quite right either. Simplified isn't the word I would use. It's more abstracted. You know, it's not necessarily that it's simpler. It's just like in a more abstract manner. It's almost like making chibies, you know. Yeah, I'm having fun. I really am. I don't know if I said that earlier that it was easier to read. I don't know if I always show it, but I do have fun doing, you know, kind of stepping outside of my comfort zone in ways that I can, like, understand. Now, a lot of people act like being outside of your comfort zone is necessary for growth. And while I agree that that is important, you know, at stages, it's also necessary to be able to challenge yourself in a zone where you are comfortable. You know, you don't necessarily have to leave your comfort zone, so to speak. You just have to find the boundaries and push it a little bit. You know, sometimes that comes without your permission. You know, like at work. You know, sometimes I get put on something that I have no preparation or kind of understanding of, and I'm still expected to deliver. And you know that those situations always suck, but at the end of the day, I learned something from them. And I feel like that's one way certainly to do it, but you don't always have to be doing that. If you keep pushing yourself like that, you know, I feel like it's only going to lead to disaster and resentment. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing it now. This just makes it look like his jacket is white with like tan highlights. So I'm just gonna kind of like limit it to this. Shit, now I can't unsee it. The thing is, right, Roland has like bright yellow eyes. That's like one of his character traits, is that he has like neon yellow eyes. That's for like a story reason. Actually, what if like, okay, this is kind of saucy, you know, half tan, half black. This will like this kind of like gives the impression of yellow because there's like, you know, there's all this black surrounding it. Okay, that looks scary. But with that, it does look like he just has like yellowish eyes. You know, like black and yellow eyes, which is kind of what I kind of want to go for. I feel like that's an unexplored potential right there. Alright, I'm pretty happy with this. Oh boy. Yeah, I like that. Let's choose a background and we can... Hang on. Yeah, we can choose a background and we can get started on like the variations of it. There we go. Maybe like an orange, or no. I think like if it's Roland, it's gotta be yellow is the thing. Okay. I'm going to very quickly tap out of a sprite on OBS because I'm gonna do some magic stuff and save my file. Okay. So now what I want to do, color mode indexed, here we go. Alright, let's bring this back. Alright, so first, new palette from sprite. Replace current palette, 33 colors. Ugh. Hang on. New palette from sprite. Create a new palette with a specific number of colors or less. 256. What am I going to do with 256 colors? Okay. Now these should be indexed, right? Okay, so sprite, color mode, indexed. Here we go. Why does that keep doing that? Yeah, I need to like move this. Sprite, color mode, indexed. Nope. Color mode, indexed. Well, now he just turned into a shadow person. Okay. I need to figure this out. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wrong screen. Anyway, new palette. Okay, so maybe new palette from sprite. Create entries to the alpha component. That's what was throwing me off. Okay, there we go. Okay, cool. Alright, this should work now. Alright, sprite, properties, color mode, index. Here we go. Okay, now if we load a specific palette, it should look like he is trapped in a little virtual boy. What? Alright, maybe remap. Oh god, that's somehow worse. Actually, I'm kind of digging this. You know, it's not like... It's a little intense, sure, but like, I like it. I can roll it. I could dig this. Alright, hang on. Let me export this real quick. Okay. And back we go. Okay, now we undo all that, and then we redo it with a different one. I wanted to do it with the, what do you call? Actually, what would it look like with the Virtual Boy palette? Disturbing! That's what it would look like. Bubblegum 16? Oh, that's kind of fun. I'm not in love with it, though. Commodore plus 4? Oh, there we go. Somehow this looks more Game Boy Color than the original palette that I had. I think that we do have straight up have a Game Boy Color palette in here somewhere. Oh, okay, Copper, that's always a fun one. Nah. Let's see, Game Boy Color Type 1. Oh, here we go. Hey, look at that. There we go. Alright. Export. Hang on, I gotta... Okay. Export that. Perfect. Okay, then... Whoop. Put that back. Alright, what other one would be interesting? How about... Web safe colors? That's pretty much the same thing as usual. That's not too exciting. Copper Tech. How about Copper Tech? It's got kind of like a bluish tint to it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Zuki 36. This almost reminds me of those like vintage filters you see on like Instagram and everything. I like it. Sport. Juka. I don't know why they named a color palette after Chinese military general Zhuge Liang, but courtesy name Kong Ming. But who am I to judge? That's how Zhuge Liang's courtesy name is pronounced, right? Like Kong Ming, not Tongmin. It wouldn't be Tongmin because then it would be with a C, not a K. I just feel like messing around with these. Hang on. Oh, this one looks interesting. Yeah, it turns out that when you start using four colors of the same palette and start... Wait, hang on. Master System. This looks neat. Okay, this one has like a more of a canary yellow kind of look to it. I'm interested in it, but I'm not in love with it. Yeah, I know I'm asking a lot from this, but I feel like it should be interesting to keep kind of going like that. Okay, where'd he go? Where did he go? He just disappeared. Do not pass go. Do not collect your man from the graveyard pile. That's... yeah, because they have a graveyard pile in Monopoly. And they have a community chest in Yu-Gi-Oh! What's Solarized look like? Fit screen, here we go. Oh, so that's what Solarized is like. Ooh, Monokai sounds like a fun one. Very ashy, though. Teletext ought to be interesting. Yeah, there we go. Look at my boy. He's in all kinds of neon colors. Rosie42 seems very friendly. I like the name of that. Rosie42. Yeah, this is nice, you know, with the green background I'm a big fan of. Yeah, okay, I think this will be the last one. Alright, export. Rosie. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for today. I'm not planning on streaming super long today. But yeah, thank you for coming. Let me go back to the just chatting screen real quick. Yeah, is anybody streaming today? Let me check if anybody else is streaming today. Let's see here. Oh my goodness, quite a few people. Hi, and Andalis streaming Fallout. Let's go say hi. Alright, hang on. I swear, like, the thing is, right, I love rating my buddies, but I always have to go check on their channel first to, you know, mainly to make sure that I'm not interrupting anything important, but also to make sure that, like, I can see what I'm rating into. And I always have to, I'm always worried about, like, ads and everything, and I'm always, like, super... Look, there's a lot of paranoia to be had about ads and everything, and, like, what you can hear and what you can't. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, later this week, I believe on Thursday, I will be streaming more of my live 2D model making. We'll be working on that Dullahan model. And on Saturday, I'll be trying out Viscera Cleanup Detail, a game about being a janitor in an action game. But yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Enjoy your week, and I will see you all on Thursday. Later. Bye.